Yes. Only 1 minute late. That's not bad. That's not bad. This is the San Francisco 49ers morning show. I appreciate everybody that's in here already. Make sure you guys hit that like button right now. Get some people filtering in. But it's time to start the show, man. Let's go.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Aaron Rodgers. Over midfield, he'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Cross Talk TV podcast. Welcome to another episode of the San Francisco 49ers morning show. I'm your host, former NFL and NFL defensive back Eric Crocker. And I appreciate everybody that's in here right now. I noticed one thing from yesterday, man. Those likes, they drive up the live views. So make sure you guys, if you haven't already, and everybody's filtering in right now, hit that like button. If you're over on Twitter, forget Twitter, man. Head over to YouTube. My guy Jason Aponte. Aponte, do you want to join me right now? We're gonna get Aponte on. Here we go. Aponte, check your Twitter DM. Here it comes right now. Hold on. Because Aponte be having some positive vibes. He's been turned up a little bit, and we've been calling him Spicy Aponte. That's what his co-host gave him that nickname. And I think it was fitting for how he was talking. But I want to get my guy on here real quick. Top of the morning. Here we go. Again, if you are tuned in on Twitter, head over to YouTube. I think I need to maybe put the link to the YouTube over here. Here we go. All right, Aponte, you got to come on. That's an order. And I appreciate the contribution from my guy. It's gonna be a good day, man. We get contributions 1 minute in. It's gonna be a good day. What up, Faithful? How's everybody doing? We see who's won. He got what, three flames? Come on, man. We gotta be doing better than that. You already know how this works, man. 5 flames if you're feeling real good. 5 flames if you're feeling real good. I'm feeling real good, man. Hey, man, one thing about this show that has really helped, man, I've kind of I don't want to say partnered up, but I've teamed up. I've teamed up with a clothing company. So we are about to have some Frontline Sports clothing. And it's going to be the all black line. That's what I'm calling it, the all black line. So everything's going to be black. You know what I'm saying? The hats are going to be black. The shirts are going to be black. We're going to have some cool sayings on one. I don't know if I posted in here, but we got $1 Billion Hustle on one of them. I'm really excited about the clothing and it's premium stuff. I told them I want really good stuff. I want good quality, especially if we're going to charge what we charge it. So the clothing is going to be good. As soon as this starts to drop, I believe it'll be here in the next month. The hats will be here sooner. So if y'all want the hats, I'll start once they get here, I'll post it. You guys can order the hats. We're gonna have the straight bill hats, and we're also gonna have the dad hats and some beanies. And we're gonna have 2 different logos. We're gonna have I don't know which one's showing up right now on the YouTube because sometimes they both show up, but we got the one with the black and red FS, and then we also have the one with the blue in there, the cool blue. So definitely about to have some gear for y'all, some real good stuff. And yeah, I'm excited to get that stuff going, man. We over here, man. We hustling. But I got my guy Aponte joining me, man. So here we go. What's good, Jake? How you doing?
Good, Croc. Just dropped my daughter off. Was about to get to work in front of the laptop. Had to tap in with you real quick. I'm glad you invited me on, though.
Yeah, you ain't gotta be on for that long. It's up to you, but everybody got busy mornings and everything. Real quick, I see the message in here. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. If you're not already, make sure you guys download the Underdog Fantasy app. I think eventually what I'll do is have a portion and we'll just talk about over-unders and stuff like that. But especially player props, Underdog Fantasy has all that. Make sure you guys download the app, and when you sign up with promo code Crocky. They'll throw an additional $10 into your account, but they will match whatever you put in there up to $100. So you want to go on there right now. You want to deposit $50 when you sign up. They'll throw an additional $50 in there. You have $100 to play around with. And I've talked about it, man. I've spent about $15 in there. I don't even want to say spent. I've used about $15, but I've made $200 just this week. So Underdog Fantasy, promo code Crocky. Make sure you guys download that app. Use the promo code. So, Jason, man, we got to talk real quick because we got some let me get this down real quick. And for those of you who don't know, let everybody know where they can find you and all your work.
Yeah, at Jason Aponte 2103 on Twitter. That's Croc's favorite burner on Twitter. And Jason Aponte on YouTube, Sprint Right Option podcast and shows with Grant and all that stuff on the YouTube channel. That's where you can find me.
I don't know if you should say Grant's name on here, man. That's a hot topic. Yesterday, and I'm going to bat for my dog, man. And I told people like Grant, he does troll, but he does a really good job of creating business. It's almost like Eminem back in the day, or like 50 Cent back in the day, where 50 Cent, like, he challenged everybody, and it was almost like he was a troll in the music industry, but it made 50 Cent more popular. Same thing with Grant Cohn, man. He definitely trolls, but he's popping, especially on social media. He changed the game on YouTube. But yeah, so I watched this video yesterday come out, and so this is what I was going to open with today. I'm just going to open it up with you now. Trey Lance. And obviously, everything that was coming out, it was that he had this knee injury, a knee sprain. And I actually came on here and was like, a knee sprain is basically like you got a banged up knee. So Kyle comes out and says it's not that big of a deal. We'll evaluate him, see. He didn't play. Then Kyle comes out and says, maybe it was worse than we thought. But then we see this video surface yesterday, and he's doing the cha-cha, the salsa, all that, throws the ball. And I'm like, dude, what knee injury? What knee sprain? Especially for them saying, just a day prior, that it was more serious than they thought. What's kind of your thoughts on, like, why he originally said it wasn't a big deal, and then why he came back and was like, it is a big deal. And then we see a video of him, and it looks like it was never a big deal at all.
Right. Unfortunately, I think that a lot of 49er fans feel the same way that you do, right? Almost like, hey, listen, you give us one diagnosis one day, and then you come back and you say it's a little bit, worse, right? That's why anytime that people hear anything about what Kyle Shanahan has to say with an injury, they take it with a grain of salt, right? And it starts to trickle down to other people, right? Like now Javon Kinlaw has to go get his knee looked at, and he might be on the shelf for the rest of the year. So I understand the skepticism, but you're right. I saw the same video and I was like, what knee injury, right? Like, and the conspiracy theorists are going to take it as, hey, man, he was never really injured. This is like just his way of making sure that he turns it over to Jimmy. And my thought was, if he's inactive in this game on Sunday against the Colts, right, the crowd is not going to be calling for Nate Sudfeld if Jimmy Garoppolo goes sideways, right? So that kind of takes that pressure off of that, right? Like it takes that away from that. But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, you could tell me better, right? Because you played. Those drills and actually running and actually doing things in a game setting, are they two different things, right? Like he looked good, moving back and forth and laterally and all that looked good. But in terms of in a game or in a game setting, is that going to be something that's a little bit different, right? And I think that's really the question.
Typically, yes. Now, the one thing that you want to look for was like, how are they challenging him from a movement skill standpoint? If it was just a straight 1, 2, 3 drop, get the ball out, I would say, yeah, you can kind of mask if he's in any type of pain, if he's not, 100% or whatever. But when everything that he did was a reaction, at least in the video we saw, that was a reaction drill. It was move this way, slide this way, back, forward, move, step, slide, all that, where he's reacting. You're really testing that to full capacity. And I'd assume in practice, you're not getting a Toradol shot. So let's say if it's game day and we see him do that in warmups, well, he probably just got a shot. So he's not going to feel if he's in any type of pain. In practice, there's no shot. So to see that, in what he was doing, it was even more encouraging that he is fine. Now there are a lot of, you talked about conspiracy theorists, and there are a lot going out right now, really just about this whole quarterback situation. What are kind of your thoughts on them coming out and saying, well, Kyle Shanahan is trying to boost up the potential trade value and stock of Jimmy Garoppolo by continuing to let him play? I have my theory, but I want to hear yours first.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this all stems from the Wickersham excerpt from his book, right, and all those things, right, in which Kyle came out and flat out said no. And I'm glad that he just said no. Now, whether you believe him or not, that's up to you. But he didn't, get into this big, I call it a word salad, right, where you're just saying a bunch of things, but you're not really saying anything. He just flat out said no. So whether you believe him or not, that's something else, right? So in terms of the two scenarios, right, let's just pick it apart this way. Let's say New England did call, because it was an informal call. New England calls and they ask a question. This is scenario one in my mind. New England calls and they say, hey, 49ers, what's the price on Jimmy Garoppolo? And they say first round pick. And they just say, okay, thank you. And they just hang up, right? Here's the second scenario. If they call and they say, hey, listen, we'll offer you a second, and they say, no, we want a first, then that would be much more alarming to me. I mean, either way, it seems that they have they've misvalued him at this point, right? I understand trying to get the most for him, but coming off of that 2020 season in which he had another injury-riddled season, if you're talking about getting the same compensation that you got for sending him, it's like a slam dunk. Like if they even mention the word second round, by the time they get to second round, I've already said yes, and his bags are packed and he's on his way. And I think that's what Kyle kind of said too, right? He said, listen, if that was the case, then I would have talked to their head coach. So that's the part that kind of it made me feel better. I'm choosing to believe Kyle here. I am. I'm choosing to believe him here. Whether you do or not, that's up to you, right? And we just talked about, the way that they diagnose injuries and stuff like that. And sometimes they're not exactly forthcoming. But at the same time, I really don't feel like there's a way for you to boost Jimmy Garoppolo's ceiling or trade value, because I feel like he hit his ceiling in 2019. Realistically, the way that he would have boosted his trade stock this year is staying healthy and just playing somewhat competently, right? And right now, unfortunately, it rained on Sunday, but it's been going on since, we were in Philly, right? And unfortunately, this offense was looking the same since the fourth quarter of that Detroit game, stagnant, right? With Jimmy Garoppolo under the helm. So that's why people are like, oh, it was raining. But I'm like, yeah, but there's a large sample size of it being not rain and him not playing well also. So it's hard to boost his value at this point, because I feel like he's already hit his ceiling. He can still be a starter in this league, but he's trending more in the direction right now of Andy Dalton, a guy that you bring in who is just a stopgap in for other rookies and things like that. I'm not certain that has so much value right now, because when you look at the compensation for Teddy Bridgewater in a trade, 4th, 5th round, that's kind of where you feel right now Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be. So, I mean, in terms of boosting his stock, I don't think that's possible. I think you just kind of got to bite the bullet at this point, and next year you just got to take whatever it is that you can get for him.
Yeah, and I've told people too, man, I don't think Kyle Shanahan is in the business, at least what it looks like to me. He's not in the business of doing things for tomorrow. He's in the business of doing things for today. So I don't think that he's looking at it like, oh, I'm going to play him to boost his trade value because, well, in a week or so or in a few days, I'll be able to trade him. Like, Kyle's not thinking that. Kyle's thinking, what's going to give me the best chance to win right now in his mindset? And I think he's giving Jimmy every opportunity to say, look, you got to take control of this right now. I feel like Kyle can make, I don't want to say excuses, but he could justify, things every step of the way as to why Jimmy is still the starter. But obviously, I think he's starting to kind of run out of that rope right now. All right, here we go real quick. Shout out to the contribution from my guy, Jesse. He said, Colbert is a free agent. Bring him back. What are you thinking? I saw Colbert. I don't know if you saw the tweet where Colbert was talking about y'all anybody hiring or something like that.
Hey, safety isn't really something that has been too much of an issue, I feel like, with this team, and especially when you talk about the progression of Hufanga. I understand the sentimental value. So, in terms of that, that's fine. But when you're looking at like cornerbacks, I think that's more the issue more than anything in the secondary, less than it would be something like that. So, I mean, if you want to bring them back for sentimental value, a depth piece, something like that, I hear you or whatever, but I don't really feel like the safeties are exactly the issue. I think it's more the corners that have had trouble with the pass interferences and things like that. And that really just stems from, why are you playing certain guys over certain guys, which we can do a whole show on, why Diamador Lenoir is not up right away. And Drake Kirkpatrick's the first one off the bench.
Hold on. Can I talk about that?
Go for it.
Okay, so this is my perspective on the whole Diamador Lenoir thing, because that has been a topic that people have brought up. And real quick, if you guys haven't already, hit that like button right now. Yesterday was the first time I really saw how people liking during the show help with the algorithms.
It shoots it up the algorithm, yeah. So it brings more people in.
Make sure we got almost 100 people in here right now. Make sure you guys hit that like button. All right. So all you gotta do, click down the chat for a second. Hit that like button, then put the chat right back up. All right, got 90 people in here. We should have 90 likes. And if you're not on YouTube, head over to YouTube if you're over on Twitter watching right now. All right, but the whole thing with Diamador Lenoir, and I was saying it previously. I watched it I watched it throughout his time playing. So first it was the Kansas City Chiefs preseason game, and I saw how they were testing him vertically, and I thought he covered well. Every time the pass was incomplete, they challenged him vertically about 3 or 4 times. Those shots continued. I believe it was the Lions game or maybe in the Chargers game where they overshot a ball where he was beat. And one thing that really stood out to me was I think he lacks the ideal vertical speed to be an outside guy. Now, people might look at his 40 and say, well, his 40 says that he can run, but what I'm seeing on film wasn't that. So how I knew this was he struggled a little bit to kind of get his head back, and it looked like he was kind of in fight or flight mode every time they threw the ball vertically. And that just let me know, like, dang, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him to consistently be able to run with guys vertically on the outside. Now, I remember Kyle Shanahan talking about the outside receiver. Somebody asked him, like, hey, like, what goes into really being able to play outside? And his biggest thing was you got to be able to be a vertical threat on the outside. Like, if you could be a vertical threat, you could play outside receiver, whether it's with speed or just size. Well, you look at Lenoir, and one, he doesn't necessarily have like the ideal size. He is a stockier kind of built guy. He's not like super thin or anything, but he's not really tall. So on the outside, he doesn't necessarily have like the length, and then he doesn't have like the ideal speed. And then we saw him kind of get tested vertically a couple times on the outside in the games, and he gave up, a big play to the kid. Gosh, what's his name from the Eagles? Not Rager, but also Rager too. That got called back.
Devonta Smith.
No, not Devonta Smith. The other one. He locked up Devonta Smith.
Oh, Kes Watkins.
Watkins. All right.
Yeah.
So Watkins, got him good, right? And part of that was his alignment. Can't line up in the gray area, backpedal, turn around with a guy that's running full speed, runs a 4.3. All right, especially if you're not that fast. That's really tough. But two, it was like if he was going to get beat, it was going to be vertically. So I said he profiles better to me because of that, not because of size or anything like that, but because of the lack in ideal vertical speed. And somebody said, yeah, he ran 4.5. So that's not that. Yeah, 4.55. Hold on. He ran 4.55. He ran 4.55 corner, running 4.3 and 4.4 now. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but he doesn't necessarily have the ideal speed. So to me, he profiled better because of that in the slot. I was like, he'll be a terrific nickel. I think he can cover well from there. It's kind of like Cohn Williams. He's not the fastest guy, but typically when you play in a slot, unless you get a slot fade, you typically don't have to be the fastest guys. And most time, guys in the slot aren't really fast unless every once in a while you get a Miko Hardman or a Tyreek Hill that lines up there. But I just thought he's going to be a terrific slot. All right, now, Drake Kirkpatrick, he's an outside cornerback. He's not a nickel guy. He's not a slot. So I think when people say Drake Kirkpatrick is playing over Diamador Lenoir, that's because Lenoir, they technically it's kind of they play two different positions. You know what I'm saying? That's like if 49ers have Trent Taylor and it's like, oh, Brandon Ayuk goes down. Well, why is it Trent Taylor? And what was like Trent Taylor? He was always a slot, right? He wasn't a guy that would work outside. So that's kind of my spiel on down. I know I went into this whole different spiel, but there were a lot of people that have questioned that. So I wanted to kind of go over that. Why we don't see Diamador Lenoir playing on the outside. He's really more of a nickel. Now, with him being a nickel, you have to look at how the 49ers set up. You got Cohn Williams back, right? So that's your starting nickel. And ideally, you would like to see Diamador Lenoir play after him, but they also a lot of times suit up Dante Johnson, who is a more versatile piece in the sense of being able to play outside, being able to play inside. So they probably look at it as, well, we don't have to necessarily dress up Diamador Lenoir from a number standpoint because he is a nickel, and we have Dante Johnson who can play outside and nickel, and we can kind of just groom Diamador Lenoir to be more suited to play in that nickel because the nickel position, it's way more complex than outside. You have way more to worry about from a spatial standpoint, understanding how you're working with the linebackers, the safeties, and the corners. Corner is way more simple. Like it's just play your coverage 1, 2, 3, whatever. Understand some of your adjustments. Nickel, you have to know way more. Then you got to know not just your coverage stuff, but your run fits, your blitzes, the different things. So I think with corner, with slot, especially with a guy like Lenoir, you can let it happen a little bit more organically. But I get what people are saying and why they kind of would question that. Sorry to cut you off, though.
No, you're good. And I think that, I mean, when he came out, this was the assessment that I feel like a lot of people had, was that Lenoir was going to be the replacement for K1, right? And then all of a
Right.
sudden in the preseason, I think that it kind of fooled people into, hey, he's an outside guy because they were playing him outside. And a little bit more
Do you
to
know
your
why
point
they're playing
about
on outside?
just to see what he was doing, or I mean, to see how
Nah,
he would no.
I think it was all the injuries. That's what I'm assuming. Remember,
Okay.
in the preseason,
Mosley, no.
Mosley didn't play. He was hurt, had the hamstring. Jason Verrett, he wasn't playing in some of the early games. So now you don't have a lot of outside guys. So obviously he played outside corner at Oregon. It's not like it's not something that he
Right.
can't play. But even if they eventually wanted to make him play the nickel position, the injuries was something that kind of forced him to have to play more outside than they probably ideally would have liked.
Right. And to your point about the difference between slot and outside, right? There's been videos floating around from the joint practices between the Raiders and the Rams, right? And Jalen Ramsey was trying to line up against Hunter Renfrow. And Hunter Renfrow, they're like, oh, look, he's baking him. No, it's because they run routes differently. And you're not able to get hands on those shiftier guys in the slot, right? This is a completely different thing. This doesn't mean that Hunter Renfrow can bake Jalen Ramsey. It just means that when you're out of position like that and those things, those guys are shiftier. Like the way that Hunter Renfrow moves, you're not able to get your hands on him and knock him down because Jalen Ramsey is very physical. So to that point, slot and outside is completely different, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean that Hunter Renfrow is out here just cooking everybody because Jalen Ramsey got a few reps on him in the slot. It just means that there's different techniques, there's different things going on, and that's to your point. The run fits, the blitzes, all those things is completely different. It's literally like two different positions, even if they are technically corners. So yeah, to that point, I agree with you 100%.
Yep. All right. So real quick, and we kind of got away with this. Shout out to Jesse Booker. Appreciate the contribution that you sent in. Everybody, if you're not already, we've got 130 people here. Make sure you guys hit that like button. It really, really helps with the algorithms, helps other people find this show. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys like it, all that good stuff. Make sure you guys, if you haven't already, listen to Locked On 49ers. Listen to the Sprint Right podcast. Listen to Locked On NFL Draft. All the stuff that myself and my guy Jason Aponte have going on as well. And I know the links to my podcast are in the description. So if you ever want to listen to that stuff, daily podcast, click the link in the description. We talked about the initial thoughts of Trey Lance and just the injury and whatnot, and what kind of went into that, and some of the conspiracy theories that were going on along that. I do want to say this, especially when it comes to some of the injuries that we've seen the 49ers cornerbacks kind of go through. All right. And I see somebody, I think Ambry Thomas was project. Yeah, Ambry Thomas, he's definitely an outside guy. Mm-hmm. He just has to get his stuff together right now. I don't know what's going on with him, but he has all the ability and athletic traits and stuff that you would want to see from an outside guy. All right. So I have a theory, I guess you could say, on just the injuries in general. Jimmy Garoppolo a couple weeks ago had a calf strain, right? And I strongly felt like if he is your guy, you're 100% sold on that, he plays with the calf strain. Like if there were not a Trey Lance behind him who is a rookie and is like, you know what, I can get my rookie some reps and stuff like that, I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo would have played, but he didn't play. Same thing with Trey Lance. Trey Lance ends up with a knee sprain, right? And I think that if Trey Lance was 100% the guy, he would have played. He would have played after the bye or whatever it was. Yeah, he had the bye week off. Then he would have played. I have no doubt in that. But there were some things that Kyle Shanahan said, and it kind of went over my head at first. Mm-hmm. But, and I don't know if I heard it wrong or am I tripping, but did you hear Kyle kind of say, almost allude to the fact that if Trey Lance would have been healthy, he would have started the following week against the Colts?
The quote was he was ready to take off if not for the injury. And that was the one that I really locked on.
How come nobody's talking about that?
That was the one. That was the most interesting quote. I know that everybody's locked in on the whole, round pick thing, but he it almost like was like word vomit, right? Like he didn't almost want to say that, but it's almost like, man, you kind of just let the cat out the bag. He was like, hey, listen, we were really excited. We wanted to get him right back in the week, but unfortunately the injury happened. He was ready to take off. Doesn't that kind of sound like a guy that you were getting ready to prep to run out there again too, even off the bye? So yeah, but again, that goes back to the question. How severe was the injury? So now it's like we have this discussion on what the injury was like. And then Kyle says what he says yesterday. And it's not really, it's kind of just lending to the idea that he might be prepping him ready to go, man. Like, seriously, at this point. Because again, the things that I took away from that Arizona game were not necessarily what everybody took away. Sure, the passes, some of them were off and things like that, but I really was impressed with everything that was going on around the team, right there, right? Things, guys dropping passes, penalties and things like that. The kid kept fighting, he kept moving the ball. And I think that that's something that right now this season, for whatever reason, is not happening with Jimmy Garoppolo. The two things that you knew about Jimmy Garoppolo going into the season was he's going to be nails on third down, right? That's supposedly like his MO. And also when he makes a mistake, he comes right back the next drive and he's great. Neither of those things is happening right now. But for a kid playing in his first game against an undefeated team on the road, and JJ Watt was destroying everything in that game, the kid responded. And I think that that's really what you have to hang your hat on. And I think that Kyle kind of saw that as well too. So when he said that, that's kind of the thing that I took away. I was like, wait a minute, did anybody else catch that? Like, he literally was just talking about getting him ready to go, if not for the injury. So that's the part that I thought was interesting too. I think you're on mute.
My bad. We got another conspiracy here. The porn star that said everything she touches turns to gold. Is that why Jimmy's footwork can't get better, because down there is slowing him down?
This early in the morning, y'all on one, man.
Oh man, she did say that, and
she did, but she said that going into 2019 though. So she was, and the like,
49ers went to the Super Bowl,
and the story, yeah. So that's you got to frame it the right way.
Yeah, the 49ers did go to the Super Bowl after that. So maybe Jimmy needs to meet up with her again.
Yeah, you're going to end up on OnlyFans. All right, we're getting out of
So here we go, man. Oh, we're doing good. Mr. BMW Lotus, appreciate you coming in here. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys hit that like button right now. Helps with the algorithms of everything. I want to ask you this. All right, Jimmy, obviously he's going to be heading into this game and he's going to be starting. Mm-hmm. Do you think that let's say without any injury, what's the over-under on Trey Lance playing? How many plays? So
how many plays?
If Jimmy is healthy for the entire game, what's the over-under on plays that you think Trey Lance gets?
I would put it at 5. And okay. I would probably take the over on that, especially because I suspect that the 49ers are going to be in the red zone. And I think that that's really where Kyle wants to use him. And as you saw, right, in the Packers game, he needed that quick score on 4th and goal, right? And that's the thing, right? It's hard for me to listen to you say that Jimmy's the guy, but on 4th and goal, like when you gotta have it, you go to the kid and then he converts, right? So that's the part that really kind of bothers me about the whole he's our guy thing after you flirted with every single quarterback and then made a move to get it. Like, you've been trying to get away from him for 2 seasons. And that's the part that doesn't make sense to me, man. Like, how can you hear him say, yeah, he's always been our guy, when you've literally flirted with 2 able-bodied quarterbacks? Every 2-armed able-bodied quarterback in the United States was linked to the 49ers in this offseason. So I think that you see him more in the red zone. I think that's really where you want that to happen, especially considering Khalil Mack's going to be out in this game. The team has a COVID outbreak right now. They're pretty much in shambles based on their coaching and their offensive line and all those things. So I feel like it's going to be in the red zone that you'll see him, and I will put the over-under at 5 for Trey Lance.
So how well do you expect Jimmy Garoppolo to play? Because I think we've been waiting on that game where he puts it together for an entire game. Obviously, I think he started off extremely well against the Detroit Lions. Since we've kind of learned Detroit Lions, they just kind of suck. Everybody's kind of getting off on them. But how well do you expect Jimmy Garoppolo to play this week? Again, the Bears, they're heading into this game. Everybody, they got injuries. Obviously Khalil Mack, he's not playing. They're talking about Robert Quinn. He's kind of questionable. They don't even have their head coach. He's going to be out because of COVID. What are you expecting from Jimmy Garoppolo in the sense of any type of, his consistency with, him being efficient?
Right. And the 49ers could win this game less about who's on the other side by just doing things, by just executing, right? They don't have to do anything crazy in this game to win. And that's what it is with Jimmy. And I think that's the problem that people have with Jimmy. Jimmy is Jimmy. And he's just going to give you a baseline, right? Anything above that is just you're happy with, right? So realistically, all he has to do is not.
Hold on. What is, when you say Jimmy is Jimmy, because I don't think a lot of people truly understand what you mean by that.
Okay.
Elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, what I mean is we've seen the ceiling. We know what Jimmy Garoppolo is. You need him to be off of play action. You can't just have him as a drop back passer when everybody knows that things are going to pass, right? Like Joe Staley alluded to that right after. And I was very shocked that he came right out after the game on Sunday Night Football and said that, like, you know, on third down, quarterbacks make their money on third down when everybody in the building knows you're going to pass. And that's the problem. Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be able to be a straight drop back passer. Everything has to be off play action. You don't necessarily have to have the run game working for play action to work. You just have to have the threat of the run. But Jimmy Garoppolo just has to operate this offense at its baseline. Efficient, get the ball out on time and things like that. It's just the problem that a lot of people are seeing, and I mean, it's been there the entire time pretty much, you know, it's just winning kind of masks all that stuff and kind of just blinds everybody, is locking in on one guy, not going through all your progressions, not understanding the coverages. Sometimes the manipulation in the pocket at times is suspect, and that's the problem that a lot of people have. It's like, it's year 4, dude. You're 8 years in the league. These are things that you see other quarterbacks doing regularly, you know? So, I mean, I think that as long as Jimmy Garoppolo operates baseline, basically just make sure that he's calling out the right checks, because I thought that was a beautiful thing that he was doing on that first drive. I think that that's something that's a little bit lost. Him, you know, checking, making sure that he knows where these run plays are going. Once they get out of that script and they give it a little bit more and it's in Jimmy's hands, that's when things get a little out of whack, at least this season. So he just has to operate baseline, like just no, don't turn the ball over. Make sure you're making the correct checks and put him in position where those third downs are not 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, they're 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and if he has to make a pass there, then you know he's going to get the ball out quickly. And stop locking on into one target, man. Deebo Samuel, I know that he's the man this year, and I know that he's balling, but don't throw the ball to him when there's like 2 or 3 people all over him, man. Like, you got to look around and you got to stop locking in on one guy.
What I would like to see Jimmy Garoppolo do, and I appreciate everybody that's in here right now. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. What I would like to see him do is manipulate coverage a little bit better, right? Like I remember in the preseason, I was watching Trey Lance, and I also saw it against the Seahawks as well, even though things weren't going as well for him. One thing Trey Lance has done early in his time playing, and it's encouraging for me to see this, and I can't wait to see how he kind of builds off of it, but he does a really good job of manipulating coverage. Now, there are times where he stares things down and he throws, and I think that's when we see the passes get batted down at the line of scrimmage. I asked the quarterback coach, why does that happen? And he said, eyes. You know, he said, so a lot of times if a guy is staring down where he's going to throw the ball, the pass rush, they see that, right? Like if the pass rush gets stopped, they'll look at the quarterback, and if they see you looking at something, they'll time their jump, and that's when it gets knocked down. So a lot of people think like, oh, this is long release. It's not as long release. Remember, I asked JT O'Sullivan, I DM'd JT O'Sullivan. I was like, hey, JT, man, like, you just did the breakdown on Trey Lance. You see anything wrong with his release? He was like, no release issues. I'm like, damn, because everybody on Twitter is telling me that his release is too long. And you got JT O'Sullivan saying no issues with his release, like just straight up. And then I asked about the, batting balls down, and he said, it's eyes. So he has to get quicker with the ball. Then I heard another quarterback say the same thing. Steve Young, I think it was. So, but one thing that I've seen him do well too, and this is probably when he truly understands what he's seeing from the defense, he does a really good job of manipulating coverage. And what I mean by that is, if you go back to the preseason, you watch the throw against the Chargers.
The Travis Ben. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of.
You watch him look left, and he holds that linebacker there, and he knows exactly what he's getting. So the first thing he does, okay, I'm going to hold that linebacker, hold him, flip, boom, fire it in there, fires a shot, and on the money, right? And that's him understanding, okay, I need to hold this linebacker here so I can squeeze this ball into this window. I watched him do it against the Chargers again on the shot down the right sideline to Trent Sherfield, where you can see him come up, and he looks at the safety, holds him, then boom, then throws a nice touch pass into the hole to get the ball to Trent Sherfield. And then I watched him against the Seahawks. Even though everything was moving really fast for him, he tried to hold Bobby Wagner. Now, Bobby Wagner is special, so he still was able to dive and make a play on it. But if you watch him, he knew he wanted that curl to Trent Sherfield. So what did he do? He's holding Bobby Wagner. He's looking straight. Then he goes and fires it, and Bobby Wagner had to dive to knock the ball away. But I say all that to say, and you talked about Jimmy Garoppolo locking on to receivers. Why is it that Jimmy, in a situation where you know, who ended up coming open? It was Mohamed
Sanu.
Sanu, right?
Sanu was
On the
wide open
interception.
down the middle of the
Down the
field,
seam.
like screaming.
Now, here's the thing. It's like, Jimmy, why am I seeing a rookie with limited reps be able to manipulate coverage and you can't? So let's kind of go back to that play. And Brian Peacock and I, we both kind of broke that film down. If you want to go check it out, we showed the play, showed the breakdown, everything. It's in this channel. And it just says like film breakdown with Brian Peacock, Locked on 49ers. Make sure you guys listen to the show. But so pre-snap, they're showing single high. So the first thing that Jimmy Garoppolo does is say, okay, they're showing single high. Even though I have Trey to the right, Trey open. So Trey open, that's 3 guys to the right with a tight end, but the tight end's not attached, so open. To the right, and then you have Deebo Samuel to the left, man-to-man coverage with a single high safety, right? So he's looking, I got man coverage, I'm throwing it to Deebo Samuel, right? I'm not reading anything else, I'm just looking at that. Instead of saying, you know what, I got a single high safety, I looks like I got man, but you know what, pre-snap, I see the safety start to cheat over. Let me look at Deebo Samuel, look like I'm going to throw to Deebo, hold that safety, and then snap my head back right and throw it to Mohamed Sanu. And it only takes a second. It's not like it takes like a long time to really be able to manipulate coverage. It's here, safety moves, boom, snap it in there, fire it in there, and give Sanu a nice opportunity for a catch and run. Right now, would he have scored? I don't know. But why am I seeing a rookie Trey Lance do that in very limited reps? But I'm not seeing Jimmy Garoppolo do those things.
That's the frustration, Croc. That's what we've all been saying. It's just like why are these steps not happening? And then the other thing with Trey is that I noticed all those things too in camp where like he was actually doing those things, right? And we're just like, man, you got to be impressed by that. Even if he's a tick slow going through his progressions, he still has the arm talent to make up for that with the arm, right? Jimmy Garoppolo, if you're gonna do that, you have to look, and then immediately when you see it, that ball has to come out on time because that ball is not gonna make it there with the same velocity that Trey has, right? And then in terms of what you were talking about with the Sanu throw, even if you're a tick late, he was so open that literally all you have to do is flick that thing in his direction. And he would have, even if he slows down to get it or something like that, he would have caught it and still had a substantial catch and run. So I think that's the big frustration is this, why in year 4 in this system, year 8 in the league, why haven't you still done these things? Why are you still like, even look, everybody loves in 2019 the George Kittle play, right? Against the Saints, right? So here's the thing. If you watch that, obviously they converted, right? And nobody has a problem with it because when you convert, nobody goes back and they look at it. But if you look at it again, he's locked in on Kittle and literally the defense is all over it, but obviously he completes it. But Deebo Samuel is screaming down the sideline by himself. And it's like, man, why are you just looking right there at that guy? I understand that you completed it and nobody's going to be upset with the result, but the process is bad. And I'm a big process over results guy, right? Like that's usually where I'm at with it, right? So that's the thing. Another thing that I have a gripe with Jimmy Garoppolo, and I see so many other quarterbacks doing this, right? Xavier Rhodes, right? He gets banged up during the pregame, right? And he's somebody who, he's not Rhodes close, Xavier Rhodes. This is Xavier Rhodes on the other side of his career now, right? Why is it that other people like Carson Wentz identified, hey, their defensive backs are bailing at the end. They're panicking. Let's take some shots down the field. Why is it that everyone else looks around at advantageous cornerback position matchups and tries to at least attack it a little bit? If you find out that Xavier Rhodes is a little bit banged up, you see him leave the field, he's hobbling. Why aren't you looking over and saying, okay, I got Deebo over here. Let's, he's on a go route. Let's take a shot. Let's see what happens. And your favorite saying, which I use all the time, you know what happens when you take shots sometimes? Sometimes you hit them. That's it. And look, Carson Wentz didn't beat the 49ers by throwing the ball downfield and completing them. He beat them by doing something that his coach was very confident in him doing and him himself was doing, was to get chunk plays based on defensive pass interferences. It's just, look, I don't want to bring up an old wound. I don't want to pick a scab or anything like that, right? But 2020 in Miami, right, against Miami, right? Ryan Fitzpatrick notices exactly where Brian Allen is, and it doesn't matter who's on the other side of him. And guess what he does? Boom, boom, there he is. I'm going to him. Until you figure out how to figure that out and stop that, you've got to take shots against that. That's another thing. It's like, why don't you identify the mismatch? Why don't you identify what's going on and at least take a shot? He did it in Detroit. He threw it up, and Debo bailed him out. And guess what? They scored a touchdown. That's the thing. When you take shots, sometimes you hit them. And I think that that's where a lot of the frustration from 49er fans is coming from. This isn't hate on Jimmy Garoppolo. It's just a guy who has not progressed at all. He has not progressed. And I think that that's the issue right now, especially when you're saying to everybody that Jimmy's your guy.
Right. And I've said it, like you said, the thing with deep throws, right, especially with the way that the NFL is going, everything is tailored towards the offense. So you'd be a fool to not take advantage of the gimmies, right? The things that they're giving you. And one thing that they're giving you is if there's contact from the cornerback, 8 times out of 10, they're going to throw that flag, no matter how little that contact is. It's very subjective to the eye of the referee. So I look at it from this standpoint. Why not take a few shots a game just to see what happens? More times than not, it's going to fall incomplete. But in the process, you give your guy an opportunity to catch the ball. You give an opportunity for a catch by your receiver making a play. And then, it can also end up being incomplete. More times than not, it's going to be one of those 3 things. The interception rate probably on deep ball throws is probably extremely low, but the 49ers wouldn't know that because they don't throw the ball downfield enough. And then that part is frustrating. So I see this question here, and I appreciate the contribution. Jimmy either can't, has never learned to film, study, and improve, refuses to study, has learned when the bullets are flying, he gets scared, checks mentally. So I saw another comment in the chat, and it was kind of alluding to the fact that maybe Kyle just puts Jimmy on the leash a little too much. And I do think there is something to that. All right. Kyle Shanahan, he loves his scheme and he wants to run his scheme a certain way. And the scheme is really good. Kyle's scheme is really good. When it's clicking, it's clicking. But sometimes I look and I'm like, Kyle, everything doesn't have to be about your scheme. You have to be a little bit flexible with it. And I think that's the part where he can be stubborn. Now, again, I'm just Eric Crocker. Who am I to tell an offensive coach that gets paid millions and millions of dollars how to call plays? But a little experience here calling plays, not the same, but the same theory and logic, right? I coach 7-on-7, and I actually call the plays on offense because I understand defense and I understand all the beaters to the defense. So a lot of times I want to run my offense to the beaters, right? If I see a coverage, I know what's going to put certain guys in a bind. So it's like that's typically how I want to attack these coverages while I'm calling plays. That's kind of how Kyle Shanahan sees it. He understands how to put defenders in a bind, how to make it to where this defender has to choose between this, and then if he does what he thinks, this should be open. But I think sometimes we can overthink it, and I've been kind of a prisoner of that as well. Sometimes you just say, wow, look at this corner out here. I have the advantage. My guy is better than that guy. I need to take advantage of this. You know what? Just run a go route. We're going to throw it deep to you. All right. And at that point, you just take a shot. And I feel like that's the part where Kyle Shanahan is lacking. You know who does a really good job of that? LaFleur, the coach from the Green Bay Packers. Now, I get it. You have Aaron Rodgers. You have Devontae Adams. But you see what he does? If they can call their play and they can call and it could be schemed up to put guys in conflict. We saw them do it against the 49ers with the shot to Marquez Valdez-Scantling. That was a cover 4 beater. All right. You got the safety outside shade on number 2. You have Devontae Adams on the far right. He hooks up in front of the near hash safety, who is Jimmy Ward, that holds Ward down. And then with the safety on the outside shade of Valdez-Scantling, who runs a deep post, holds this safety down, this safety on the outside shade, big shot. That's schemed up. That's great. Great scheme by him, right? I like it. But also, he'll get away from that. And if he sees you 8 yards off Devontae Adams, what do they do? Hike, get it to Devontae Adams' hands right now. That's not scheme.
Right.
That's just, I'm going to get the ball in the hands of my guy right now. Forget whatever we had called. Forget whatever the play call was. Throw it to him right now. Get the ball to him and go get your free 5 yards, 6 yards. Essentially, it's a long handoff run play, but that's him kind of deviating from the scheme. I would like to see Kyle Shanahan do those things a little bit more. Again, I'm not telling Kyle how to call plays or that he's wrong and that his scheme doesn't work. It does. But I do think he there's another element to it to where it's like, Kyle, you don't have to work so hard. And I think that's one thing that where he kind of holds Jimmy back. How much is Jimmy truly able to do and deviate from the scheme? Now, to answer this right here, I think Jimmy, understands the offense and grasps it, but I do think he's probably playing a little too robotic, right? With Trey Lance, he's not robot, right? Trey Lance, and I keep going back to him, guys. There's a lot of things to like about Trey Lance, and it's gonna come. Right now, it's gonna be hit and miss. Even if he gets in the game, he might throw some ugly passes, but you see the ability and the mindset is there. So let's talk about scheme, right? The very first Trey Lance snap against the Kansas City Chiefs, he was under center. He was under center, which I don't know why he did was in Arizona. Under center, play action. And he has the deep curl routes. They were like 20-yard curl routes, right? Maybe he could have threw the one, but maybe I see the linebacker there. He's kind of in that window. I don't know if I can make that throw. So what does he do? He doesn't just force the throw. He doesn't just throw it right there. He says, you know what? I'm going to step up in the pocket, move outside, and then make a play on the move. He threw the ball to Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk dropped it, which clearly there was something more to that. We thought that was just a one-off. But, like, you don't have to be a robot in this offense for it to be successful. Sometimes you have to deviate from a little bit, and I think that's where Jimmy Garoppolo, he can improve a little bit, but maybe that's just not who Jimmy is. And I think maybe that could be more the issue.
Right. And to go to your point about the Packers, right? Obviously, like you said, it helps when you have Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. But Devontae Adams is the number one option on every single pass play. And I know that sounds stupid, right? Because it seems like, you would think, hey, every team has their number one pass catcher as the number one option. But that's the trust that he places on Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Whether Devontae Adams is in the slot, outside, anything like that, Aaron Rodgers has free reign pre-snap to look around, take a look. And if it's Adams, it's going to be Adams because of that connection that they have. And if it's not, then they know where to go with the ball. But a little bit too, like when you're talking about being robotic, I point to 2017, and this is the part that's got everybody a little bit more frustrated when it comes to Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay, you can't learn Kyle Shanahan's scheme in 2 weeks, right? He throws that touchdown pass against Seattle, and he goes, and they say, you know what, you're the starter. What Kyle Shanahan did is he brought a lot of those Patriots concepts that he knew already and kind of just grafted it to him and said, listen, go play ball. Like, this is it. This is the stuff you know. We're not going to overload you with all this other stuff, and go play ball. That's what I think you're talking about when you're saying playing a bit more free. That's why when you saw Jimmy freestyle a little bit more, he was more comfortable because it wasn't all of those things overloaded. He wasn't thinking so much. He was out there playing. So, there is an argument to be made that, hey, maybe Kyle Shanahan and him don't really fit or anything like that. But I like what he did in 2017 with him. And that's the part that has people a little bit more frustrated was you saw Jimmy play free and easy and free and loose, and they won 5 straight games because Kyle simplified it, said, hey, listen, here's what you kind of ran in New England. Here's what we're going to put in front of you, go play ball. But now, when it comes to learning the scheme and everything as well, it doesn't seem like it's translating in the same direction. And I think that that's a lot of what is going on right now and what has a lot of people frustrated because it is year 4. Right? It is year 4 in this system. And you would think that there would be a progression. So I can't really speak to his study habits or what it is or anything like that. I just know that I think 2017 kind of painted a picture of what life would be like with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think that we all thought that that's what it would be. But there's a lot of context to that. There's the fact that they brought all those plays over from New England and they kind of ran stuff that he knew and just say, hey, listen, we're playing with free money right now. We're 1-10 when you started, 1-10. Playing with free money right now. Let's see what you got. Go out there and play ball. And then when you see him win those 5 games, I think it kind of raised the expectations for Jimmy Garoppolo. And I don't know if that was exactly the right thought process at that point.
I think Jimmy has always been what he was in 2017. There's a lot of people that think that was the best version that we've seen of Jimmy Garoppolo. And in theory, he did some things really well, but it's really the same guy that we saw every year. He in 5 games, he threw 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. The biggest difference was, like you said early on, what Jimmy Garoppolo is, he's very efficient on third downs, and he was a monster on third downs during that time. But it wasn't like it resulted in a ton of points in some of those games, which obviously that's what's to be expected, right? Now he did light up the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had the number 1 defense, and that was great. But even then, remember what Jalen Ramsey said. He was like, man,
he was like, he knew
coaching scheme. He was like, he threw the ball to the fullback, scheme the fullback open. It wasn't the quarterback. Remember he said that? Everybody pushed back on it like, oh, you're mad. But really, you look at it. I mean, Jimmy threw for like 230 yards, had like 2 tugs, an interception. Didn't really light them on fire, but he played well. And I think a lot of what Jimmy Garoppolo has been now. I think what we thought was, what's the next level to this? And, oh, man, if he's doing this in the first 5 games, what's it going to look like down the line, man? He's going to look like what we've seen from Matt Ryan, and I don't think we've seen that. How is there not a locker room divide between Trey and Jimmy at this point?
There is.
So there can be, but this is my experience with this. All right, because 2013, as you guys know, I was with the New York Jets, and the Jets had Mark Sanchez, and that was kind of, he was the guy, and he had went to back-to-back AFC championships to start his career. By the time I got there, they just drafted Geno Smith, and they drafted him in the second round. And there was kind of that thing of, when is Geno going to start, or what's this going to look like? It's a quarterback competition, and from the jump, that was more of an open competition. I could say this as far as it goes, the locker room divide and all that. I ain't give a fuck who was the starting quarterback. Like, I ain't care. Like, I can't worry about who the starting quarterback is. I got to worry about understanding what's my responsibility on this fire zone cover 3. If it's 3 guys to the side, then 1 guy motions over, and I got 2 guys in the number. And if it's a fire zone 3, I have this area. But if it's a sky cover 3, then I have the deep third. But if it's cover 2, then I have this. Or if it's man, do I follow this guy? I mean, I have to worry about those things. The coach, those guys worry about the quarterback position. So as far as a locker room divide, I think there will be the conversations as far as, oh man, I wonder when we're gonna play Trey Lance. And maybe the divide, if there is a divide, it'll only happen because people are tired of losing, but not because they want to pick a side between Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. Because I keep it a buck, man. Most of these guys, like, they know they have a job to do. Like, dude, I can't worry about what's going on at that position. I have to do my job. So that's kind of my experience on that. There was another contribution. Go ahead.
Yeah, can I give a little bit of maybe a little bit of the thought process with a lot of these guys too? Yeah. Maybe. I mean, this is just my thoughts. And again, I've never been in an NFL locker room. I'm not going to pretend to know, anything like that. But a lot of what success any of these guys have seen is when Jimmy Garoppolo has been the quarterback. There have been guys who have been here through multiple regimes and have seen the bottom of the bottom. And then to make 2019 happen, there has to be a little bit of feeling like, well, the only success I've really had in this league was when Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback. Okay. And then there's vets, right? So there's vets that are here that have come over, like say an Alex Mack. He didn't come over here to help rebuild, right? I think Alex Mack was brought here and under the idea of, we're going to be competing this year for a Super Bowl. Here's a chance, for you as a veteran. He might be here 1 more year at the most, right? Like, he's not here to be part of the Trey Lance grooming experience, right? So I think that's kind of where people are asking that question. And I think that a lot of, whatever people want to say about a locker room divide has to do with what guys have experienced before Jimmy Garoppolo and then what they've done with Jimmy Garoppolo. And you kind of have to feel like, you understand a little bit where they're coming from with, hey, let's ride with Jimmy. We've gotten this close to winning a Super Bowl with him. And, and then the other thing is this team, this is part of the pitfall with this team this year. And this is something that I did not like, only because you cannot duplicate the circumstances. You cannot duplicate the season, was the whole run it back 2019 vibes. I'm getting 2019 vibe. I hated it, Croc, because people forget circumstances other than the way you play go into a Super Bowl season. Other teams have to falter. Other teams have to have things happen. Everything was laid out perfectly for the 49ers in 2019. There is no way. It is virtually impossible to duplicate that, even if you play as well as you do, and you knew that the defense was going to take a step back. It's just impossible. And I think that that's a big pitfall. And that's why fans are frustrated. It's because they were sold this whole, we're getting back to the 2019 thing. All we just need to do is be healthy. I don't think that that's possible. And I think that was it was a poor way of evaluating the team. And you shouldn't have been selling that to the fan base, in my opinion.
Yeah. 2019, man, that was a long time ago now. And I see one of the comments says 2019, that was the best version of Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'd say even then it was fairly weird, It took him to about midway through the season to start to kind of get in a little groove. Even then, he had the weird game against Seattle Seahawks where he was trying to throw the game away, and ultimately 49ers lost. They did miss that kick in the overtime.
Oh, here you go, Croc. The game that I'm going to point to that year that was showing you that the ball was bouncing their way and it was just kind of their year, the Steelers game. They had all those turnovers early in the game, but if Ben Roethlisberger plays in that game and it's not Mason Rudolph, you don't win that game. You do not win that game. I'm sorry, because you turn the ball over multiple times on the other side of the field. Ben Roethlisberger Right. Yeah. Ben Roethlisberger is going to cash those in. You're not going to win that game. Like, that's just not going to happen. Even the most washed version of Ben would have found a way to put points up, unfortunately. So that's what I'm talking about, Croc. Like, things like that. People, you can't duplicate those circumstances. Another thing I'm going to point to is Kirk Cousins decided to win his first playoff game and knock a team out that the 49ers did not want to see again, which was the New Orleans Saints. Right? They did not want to see them again. And then once that happens, you know for a fact that the Vikings weren't going to beat the Niners. That felt like a done deal.
I don't want to say that because I'm not going to lie. During that time, there were a lot of people that felt like the Vikings could beat the 49ers, and they were kind of mirror teams of each other, which how they were built. The Vikings were built on the defense and that front with Everson Griffin and Danielle Hunter and those guys, and the linebackers with Kendricks and those guys. And their offense was built with, they had Tannehill. They had Thielen, they had Diggs, who were explosive guys, and then they had a running back with Dalvin Cook that was a terrific running back. He had a great year, and then a quarterback who was essentially like Jimmy Garoppolo. I think the difference in that game, that one thing that really helped the 49ers as opposed to, being on the other end of it, like the Vikings, was the Vikings could not, the 49ers shut that run game down. Dalvin Cook had like 12 yards rushing. So that ended that. Here we go real quick. Jimmy plays like a guy with a gun that shoots out of fear. He plays scared. I think we need a QB that shoots out of aggression, attack that's secondary.
See, that's the problem with the Sunday Night Football game, right? And I pointed out Xavier Rhodes was banged up, but that whole secondary was banged up. And that's where you had to attack them. You're talking about the number one rush defense. And obviously the 49ers carved up a nice little, carved them up pretty well with Elijah Mitchell and everything as well, too. But that's the point, right? Is you have to understand where your matchups are, where you have the advantage, and why can't you take advantage of those matchups, right? And that, I think, is, again, a lot of source of frustration with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Here we go. We got Jerome over here. He says, do you think that Trey is a victim of Kyle's experience with RG3? RG3 became a diva after his rookie season.
You go for it.
This. No. RG3 did not become a diva after his rookie season. If RG3 was a diva, he was probably a diva before the season. I think the biggest difference between that situation and with Trey Lance is RG3 was Snyder's guy, and they were forced into drafting RG3. That was not the guy that they wanted. Matter of fact,
you know who he wanted.
Well, Kyle wanted Cousins, but Mike wanted Russell Wilson, and they wanted to wait to draft Russell Wilson. I believe it was they were going to draft Russell Wilson second round. So that's that part. With Trey Lance, again, you do hear the reports and stuff that maybe Trey was forced on Kyle Shanahan, but I can't see that being the case because of that situation. Why would Kyle go into a situation and draft a guy so he has that same scenario all over again? I believe that this was his guy that he wanted. I believe if Kyle wanted somebody else, he would have taken that guy because, like John Lynch said, he said, I'd be stupid.
I defer to him.
Yeah, he said I'd be stupid to pick a quarterback for Kyle for his offense. Like, I would be stupid. Now, obviously, John had a guy that he liked. The staff had a guy they liked. But ultimately, this was Kyle's decision on who he wanted. And I think right now, here's the thing, man. With Trey Lance not playing, I don't think it has anything to do with if Kyle likes him or forced with him or whatever Florio tried to say. It's all about not trying to ruin the quarterback and feeling like he's doing what is best for the quarterback and his development. We can feel like, what's best for him is playing right now and yada, yada. Florio can say, well, they did everything to try to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'm pushed back on that. As if they wanted to get rid of Jimmy, they would have did it. He's making $27 million. All right. Right now, it's hard for us to kind of truly understand it because we don't want to watch Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Most of the fan base, they do not want to watch Jimmy and want to see Trey Lance. They want to see the young guy. Kyle, there is a side to it to where it's just like, maybe Kyle is doing everything possible to not ruin his young rookie quarterback if he doesn't have to.
Right.
There's that aspect of it. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm sure, Jason, you don't want to hear that. And we got 290 people in this chat. They don't want to hear that. Everybody wants to see Trey Lance play, and they feel like he's what's best. But there could be a chance that Kyle feels like, I don't want to ruin my young guy. I don't want him to create bad habits. I don't want him to put in a position to where he feels like he has to play hero ball every time he steps out there. I want him to learn the offense organically and just slowly start to process things and how I want things done. I get a chance for him to sit and mold him. And if push comes to shove and I have to play him, then I will play him. But I don't think he wants to. There's that side of it that I feel like everybody's just kind of dismissing.
Right. And then Kyle even said as much, right, in this last press conference. He's like, listen, this is not a thing where Trey was going to be here and be a day one thing. This is for the future. And he goes, and this is my plan for him. And you know what? You can say what you want about the plan. He was very clear about the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo was his guy. He keeps sticking with him. And I think that you're absolutely right when you're talking about that. We don't want to hear that, right, because we got that glimpse of it in Arizona. But at the same time, this has been Kyle's idea the entire time about letting him sit, getting him up to speed at his pace. And I think that that's a lot of what you should take away is like he literally said it in the press conference. I am not setting him up to play this year, and I'm not going to put him out there as long as there's no, as long as the team's not eliminated, mathematically, I'm not going to play him just to give him experience. So, I mean, in that regard, that's the part where I believe Kyle, because he's literally backing up what he's been saying all offseason in terms of Jimmy's our guy.
Right. And then we've been kind of saying like, no, he's lying.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, well, maybe he's just not lying, right? Like maybe Jimmy is his guy, and it's like, all right, we're gonna ride with him until we can. And we touched on it earlier. It sounded like if not for the knee sprain, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to force the issue, right? If there's something going on with Trey Lance, it's like, and he tweaked his knee, and I don't got to throw him out there. I'm not gonna throw him out there. But like we touched on, it sounded like he was saying, if not for the injury, we were excited to see him continue to grow and get him out there on the field. So there was a chance that he was going to start, if not for the slight knee sprain or whatever. Real quick, if you haven't already, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. To hit the like button, I saw somebody earlier say, how do I like this video? How you like it is you click down the chat, X out the chat real quick, hit the like button, and then hop right back in the chat. All right. As always, this show is powered by Underdog Fantasy. Download the Underdog Fantasy app right now or go to underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up and you deposit a minimum of $10, they will match anything you put in there. So you have to put a minimum of 10, but if you want to put 100, they'll match up to 100. You'll have $200 in your account to play with. They got all kinds of player props, over-unders, things you can wager on. You can parlay it. I've made $200. Technically, I made $190 this week off of $10 that I put in. So, but then I also lost $5 because the goddamn who was it? The Nuggets.
The league.
Porter didn't score 15 points. I needed Porter to score 15 points, and he scored like 10. All right, he just was breaking everything. All right, so that if I'd have hit on that, I'd have hit another $100. But anyways, Underdog Fantasy, go make you some money. Promo code Crocky. All right, here we go. Got another contribution. I love Kyle Shanahan as much as the next fan, but can we really trust him to develop Trey Lance considering his history with other QBs in the past? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, it depends, right? So a lot of people want to credit Kyle Shanahan with the Kirk Cousins stuff, right? But I believe that Sean McVay had a lot more to do with the development, right? Because he was the one who was actually there for a while with him more than Kyle was, right? Because Kyle left pretty quickly after that, and he went a separate direction. I think that people point to CJ Beathard and Nick Mullins and even to an extent Jimmy Garoppolo, right? And it's like, hey, why haven't these guys ever progressed, right? Why? But I don't know if I can point to that and say, you can't trust him or anything like that, because right now, this is his guy. And I think that he still has that leash. Like, for all the people that are yelling, oh, we need to fire Kyle, he's not going anywhere. They didn't allow him to make this move up for Trey Lance to get rid of him and allow some other coach to try and get his hands on him. That's not how this works. So you can yell that all you want. He's not going anywhere. Like, that's not happening. So you just have to get used to that. I just don't think that it's fair to judge, CJ Beathard never grew. He picked him out. Or if you want to say, he passed on Mahomes and Watson. Well, he had a clear plan, right? He thought Kirk Cousins was going to be on the way, right? Now, we can obviously in hindsight say, man, you let Watson go, you let Mahomes go. What are you doing? So if you want to talk about plans, right, and who he likes, that's something different. I don't know if you can immediately say that he can't develop quarterbacks. I don't know if you can say that with a certainty.
Right. And shout out to my dog, Abel. Look, my boy Crockpot. Abel, that's my dog right there. We grew up together out there, Northside Stockton. You know what I'm saying? That's my homie right there. Love you, dog. That's my little brother. All right, boy, big brother. He got a big ass head too. All right, real quick. I got to message you. Hey, boy, my bad, bro. I got to message you. Real quick. What we're gonna do now? You're locked in with me now, Pati. So what we're gonna do is, typically I go to about 25 more minutes, and I try to open the floor for people. So what I'm gonna do now is, I am going to open the floor, but instead of just talking to me and getting your point across, you'll also be able to talk to Jason as well. So we're gonna get people in. I know as soon as I post the link, there's gonna be a lot of people that kind of enter the chat. So we'll see how many people jump in. That's gonna determine how much time you guys get, but here is the link. There it goes. And anybody that wants to come on and talk, there's a link right there. Come on, speak your piece. Love hearing that perspective from you guys. If you haven't already, hit the like button. I'll say that till I'm blue in the face. Continue to hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Underdog Fantasy, promo code Crocky, Locked On 49ers, Locked On NFL Draft. The link to that is in the description below. Support the show, baby. Let's go. All right, here we go. We got some people jumping in here right now. All right, and got the Locked On Draft. Hold on. There we go. All right. All right, so let's I want to do things a little different today. All right. Let's have a little round table. So here we go. All right, so we got 3 folks in here right now. And I'm going to give everybody a chance to kind of elaborate on this question. Now, this question, I just happened to see it, but if you want your question 100% read, y'all know what to do. Leave those contributions, baby. All right, but I happen to see this question, and I want to know your opinion on this, and you guys can talk as you please. I got to remove this layover so we can see my guy's face up there. Hold on, y'all. All right, here we go. So I had a question. Where's it at? Let me get to it. What is your opinion on Elijah Mitchell? Go ahead. Whoever wants to kind of talk and elaborate on that, feel free. Okay, I'll man it. Here we go. Go ahead, Rich. You up first.
It was funny because we were talking about something similar to this yesterday, because we got on the topic of Mostert and Elijah Mitchell, and everyone kept saying that we were missing Mostert, and that's why the offense isn't as good as it is. And we kept talking about how Elijah Mitchell can be just as good as Mostert, but we just felt like he wasn't being utilized or being used the right way by Kyle Shanahan. So I don't know if it's a scheme thing, but we can definitely see the difference in explosiveness when he's on the field compared to the other running backs. So I don't know. I don't know if it's, like I said, that's why I was going to ask you guys. Do you think that's a scheme thing, or do you think that's just we are missing Mostert that much?
I'll start by saying you definitely miss Mostert because there's an element to his game that just can't be duplicated or replicated. All right, that explosive ability that he has to where he breaks angles. You can't teach that, and nobody else has that.
July.
And I would say most guys in the league don't even have that. I think the only person I've seen really break angles like that and threaten guys on a consistent basis to that extent was probably Chris Johnson. Like it's that kind of special of an ability to run. So I think people see Elijah Mitchell and they think, oh, he ran 4.3. He's not Mostert with his explosive ability. Now, the one thing I will say about Elijah Mitchell and what my opinion of him right now is, I thought early on he struggled with vision. I was like, you know what? And I've seen some of this float around. That one play where he cut back, that was good vision. But early on, I was like, man, he did hit that one big play against the Detroit Lions. But I thought too often he was just in a rush. He wasn't waiting for blocks to set up. He wasn't really seeing the field well, seeing the holes well, and he was kind of running into guys. And we saw it really show against the Philadelphia Eagles where he had like 17 carries for like 45 yards. But I do think since then, and I was critical of him during that time, since then, I think he has ran extremely well. I think he's done an amazing job of kind of slowing down and understanding how to use slow to fast through. He's hitting the holes hard, pause. He's doing a really good job with his vision and understanding when to cut back. I think he runs strong and runs through arm tackles. I think the guy that we've seen over the last couple of weeks is drastically more impressive than what I saw in the first couple games. He's definitely improved a lot, and I really want to see how he continues from that aspect, and if they start to utilize him in the passing game. What are your thoughts on him, Aponte?
Right. I mean, I think it was a little bit disrespectful when people were just automatically calling him Mini Mostert, because not only is it the speed, I'm talking about the gap vision and being able
Oh,
to
hold on,
put
hold on,
that
hold on,
foot.
hold on. Hold
Yeah,
on, my bad, real quick. And he's
yeah.
not mini Mostert either, because
Right.
Mostert is a
No.
guy who's a little bit more slim built. And people were
Right.
saying this. They were like, "Oh, mini Mostert." And I think
Yeah.
people look at what his weight was at the pro day or combine, and he was like 5'10", 200 pounds. That is not what Elijah Mitchell plays at. Elijah Mitchell at for Raging Cajuns, he was a 218-pound running back. And when he weighed in at the Senior Bowl, he weighed in at 218. Naturally, he's carrying around 218 to 220 pounds. He's not a small guy, but I think people look at what he's listed at, and he's listed at 5'10", 200 pounds. He is not that. He's a thicker built guy. So I kind of want to get that out the way, because you said that, but that is something that has been being said.
Right. I mean, I just thought it was disrespectful to kind of say, okay, he's going to slide right into that Mostert role, because I think people underestimate his vision, Mostert's vision, and being able to put his foot in the ground as soon as the gap is there. And then that speed is elite and it can't be matched. That's it. Just because a guy is fast doesn't mean that he can play the way that Mostert does. And I think that was a little bit of unfair expectations. And I feel like people were just taken by Elijah Mitchell's straightaway speed. And that's not really how how you should be evaluating that at the same time. And I think you're right. I think right now he's progressing very well. And I think that he's right now understanding things, and the game is slowing down for him a little bit more. At times, sometimes running backs actually set up offensive lineman blocks. And I think that's something that he's kind of learning right now too as well. Also, have this in the back of your mind. If George Kittle was there, this offense, I don't care what anybody says. If they're running the ball well, they could be running the ball better if Kittle is there, because he just does a little bit more. Not to disrespect Ross Dwelly, he just doesn't do what George Kittle does. So from everything that we've seen right now, he's progressing very well. But I just wanted to get that out of the way with people who automatically thought that he would be Raheem Mostert. That's kind of disrespectful to Raheem Mostert and what he does and how special he is. He's a one of one when it comes to that. And you saying Chris Johnson is the only other person, where have you seen that from since Chris Johnson? You really haven't. So I think that that's something that I really wanted to point out, because it kind of frustrated me a little bit when people said, okay, you've got him now and he's your new Mostert. No, I don't think you can duplicate that because of his special abilities and the way that he fits the outside zone as well too.
Right. What are your thoughts on that, Dion?
First of all, good morning, Croc. Good morning, Rich. My man Jason in the building. Hey,
Dion, what's up, buddy?
Bro, how you been, brother?
Good, man. Same old, man. Glad to see you, man. I'm glad to be on here. I'm glad I woke up. Well, I'm usually up, but I'm glad that I was actually tapped in today, so we could do this.
Oh yeah, definitely so, man. Hey, and everybody out there in the chat, if you want to see somebody break down some crazy film, go watch a man right above me, Jason Ponte's film breakdown. God,
Appreciate you, Dion.
He do that all the time. As far as Elijah Mitchell, let me give you some quick numbers on the season. Elijah Mitchell has played 4 games. He had 63 attempts for 296 yards. The man is averaging 4.7 yards a carry. His longest run was 38 yards. He has 2 TDs. And then when you shift over to receiving, even though they don't use him much, he has 4 catches on 4 targets for 30 yards. Like, I don't know what else you would want from a running back. I like Elijah Mitchell. I think that for what, he brings great things to the table. Do not compare him to Raheem Mostert. It's not fair to him. And it's not fair to anybody really, because nobody has that kind of straight line speed. Not even Tyreek Hill. For all you fake cheetah lovers out there, Tyreek Hill is not as fast as Raheem Mostert. It's been clocked. 23.909 miles, 23.09 miles an hour. It's there. It's clocked. It's clocked.
Okay.
Rocky,
okay.
Don't you do it.
Okay, go ahead.
It's been clocked. So I like what Elijah Mitchell brings to the table. My thing is, use him more. Like, don't go away from him, man. Like, look at the first drive of the last game. Elijah Mitchell was all over the place. Next drive, he gets 1 carry, and we get 3 throws. So continue to use him, man. Let him go out there and abuse them teams that have crap run defenses. The Colts had a bad run defense. So I like him. Continue to use him. I like what he brings to the table. But, yeah, you can't compare him to Mostert, because Mostert's straight line speed and his vision And his ability to get skinny in that pocket, man, is just flat out unbelievable. So I like him. Continue to use him. He brings a lot of great things to the table.
You muted, Croc.
Yeah, you muted.
Here we go. Another question for y'all. How we feel about not utilizing our first 4 picks from the draft this year? I'm gonna let y'all handle that.
All right, look. Okay.
Real quick, hold on, real quick. Make sure if you guys haven't already, hit that like button. We got over 300 people in here. I checked the likes. We got less than 200 likes. So run those likes up. But go ahead, Aponte. You go ahead and handle that first.
All right, look. I understand that the draft is a crapshoot, right? And I understand. All right. Let me be positive here because I know what everybody else is going to say. So let me at least be on this side of it. Like, not that I agree with it, but I'm going to say that this is what's going on. What if the whole idea of drafting Aaron Banks, Trey Lance, and Trey Sermon in the first 3 rounds is a way to get it going when Trey takes over this offense? Now, do I agree with that? No, but I'm trying to figure out the thought process here because we're talking about Elijah Mitchell, right? And Elijah Mitchell is great. I love it. But at the same time, why haven't you really put this Trey Sermon, Elijah Mitchell duo as a guy who can run in between the tackles for a little bit, soften the defense up, and then allow Elijah Mitchell to attack? I'm going to point to 2019, right? Everybody was upset when Tevin Coleman would come out and be the first guy on the field, right? But Tevin Coleman was actually like the boxer setting up the jab for the haymaker, which was Raheem Mostert, right? You let him get those tough yards in between the tackles, let him take all those hits, and then you identify where to attack the defense with Raheem Mostert. I just don't know why that has gone away a little bit. Now, again, I'm not at practice. I don't know what Kyle Shanahan's seeing when it comes to that, but I'm just giving you maybe what the thought process is. When Trey Lance takes this offense over, will Aaron Banks be implemented? Can Aaron Banks be here right now when this offense is really tailored right now to Jimmy Garoppolo? I don't think that that's what they want to do. I understand 1, 2, and 3, your first three round picks, not having them play is not a good thing because those are supposed to be straight up impact players, but I'm just trying to give you maybe what they're thinking. I don't necessarily agree with it, but maybe that's what they're thinking when it comes to that. And I would like to see Trey Sermon a little bit more to open it up a little bit more for Elijah Mitchell in the same way that they did in 2019.
Yeah, for me, using those. Okay, I'm gonna be real simple about it. Very, very simple. Jason's take was probably the best and most optimistic take that I've heard on how that works, and I get it. What I heard about Aaron Banks in training camp was he was falling all over himself.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't able to do the pulling and the shifting and all that stuff properly. Trey Lance, I want him in now. Period. I don't care what nobody says. I would love to see Trey Lance on the field because I don't feel Jimmy Garoppolo is giving us the best chance to win. The Aaron Banks pick, I'll stick with what I've said the whole time. Asante Samuel Jr. should have been that pick. That's my idea. That's where I'm going. I'm sticking with it. Ambry Thomas, obviously he ain't ready because they've never even given him a chance. Not at all. So I get it. I understand it. I don't. Usually your first and your second round pick typically on any team play in that same year that they get drafted. But I mean, Lance has played a little bit, but, you know, it's a bit frustrating because you kind of feel like they're wasted picks. That's what I'll say.
I was actually right on board with you, Jason. I was thinking the same thing. In fact, that they kind of alluded to that during the draft. A lot of people I kept hearing it sounded like they were drafting some of these, especially when they drafted Aaron Banks. It was a head scratcher, and many felt that it was that pick was specifically for the Trey Lance package, so to speak. You know, I know a lot of the. I think part of the problem is we want things right now, and sometimes we don't want to look to the future. And when coaches and GMs are drafting, they're not just, and you know, Kyle alluded to this. We're not just worried about today; we're worried about the future, and that's why he's bringing Trey along the way he is. But I felt the same way. And for those that want to push back on Dion with the Asante Samuel thing, let me say this. A lot of people were saying Asante Samuel at that position.
Yeah.
So that's not just revisionist history. That's something that was being said before the draft, while the draft was going on. Most people wanted Asante Samuel at that position, and so I think that's that's a good take right there. But just to kind of go into the Kyle Shanahan thing real quick, with his plans, and I think this is what frustrates me, and I know it frustrates some fans. Kyle Shanahan always has a plan, but he never sticks to the plan. Think about when he first came in. He wanted Kirk Cousins. That was the plan. The plan changed. Jimmy came in. He's going to Jimmy. And I think what's happening is a lot of people hear him say he's got this plan, but yet his plans always change. So now we got this kid, Trey, right, that we all want to see him. I want to see him. Most people on here want to see him. And so we're like, well, you've changed the plan in the past. Why are you being so set in your ways right now? If Trey can come in and give you the best chance to win, why wouldn't you do that? And I think that's what 49ers fans are looking at. And they're like, well, you changed your plan in the past. Why can't you do it for Trey?
Croc, you on mute.
Yeah, I haven't talked a whole lot about this yet, but it is frustrating, because those are valuable picks, especially in the first 4 rounds. And it's even more valuable when you don't have early, you don't have first round picks over the next 2 years. So I do think out of all it's a little frustrating. I think the quarterback situation I could see, because at the end of the day, you do have Jimmy Garoppolo, and it's like, well, I don't have to start my rookie just yet. At least you can justify that one. The guard, your guard has to be playing right now. Like your guard, I don't care, whatever, he has to be playing. And if he's not playing, then that definitely looks bad, especially when you draft a guard in the second round, because that's still kind of high to draft a guard. Now, the other positions, Ambry Thomas, they've tried. I did see some people saying that he hadn't played yet. He did suit up against the Lions. He was suited up, I think, just kind of reverted to special teams. And he just hasn't been good. Now, Dion, you said that he didn't have no, he's had opportunities.
Yeah.
And he just was not good. Like, just point blank period. So that's on him to have to improve and figure out how and why. And I think the more interesting thing when it comes to Ambry Thomas is he's getting beaten, man. Like, that's what he played. Like, I thought with Ambry Thomas, the tough transition for him was going to be the zones and playing off, because he didn't do a whole lot of that in college. And as far as man, he was solid. Now, he wasn't the twitchiest of guys. I thought certain guys would come and give him issues. I saw, like, Devontae Smith in college. Like, I was like, oh, it doesn't look great. Even though he wasn't like getting beat for like a lot of catches and yards, which is what it looked like in coverage. I'm like, a little shaky. But with how much man the 49ers have been playing, that kind of suits his skill set. So the fact that he can't get on the field and they're working to his strengths, that's the thing interesting. But I'm gonna get some other guys on. Dion, Rich, I appreciate you guys coming on, man.
Good to see you guys, man. Have a great day today, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. It was nice being on with you, especially you, Jason, and Croc. You guys take care, man.
Thanks, Crocky. Appreciate you, Jason. Oh, and right before I go, that is Jason made a great point. Shanahan's system has always been a 2 running back system. It's never just a 1-man show. So the 1-2 punch, you're right on that, Jason. Definitely makes sense. Shout out to you, Rich. Nothing but love to you, baby. Yeah, have a good day.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, here we go. We got Jake, and this is my guy Smitty. Here we go, Jake and Smitty. You guys are on. Somebody said, Eric, is that a hold on? Somebody said, Eric, is that a let me pull that down. Here we go. Yes, this is a Modesto Junior College chair. I actually, me and my best friend Donald, Jason, he met my brother Donald.
Oh yeah, shout out to Donald, bro.
But so 2009, we ran into the gym and stole the chairs. We ran out of the basketball gym. So I've had this for 12 years now.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, right. I mean, man, we was young, we was wild, bro. We was like, man, we gotta have these chairs. Like, so I've had it for 12 years. It's been with me everywhere. This chair has been to so many different states. It's lived in Portland, it's lived in New Jersey, it's lived in San Antonio, and it's lived in Arkansas, man. So yeah, that's my rider right here. This thing been loyal. I've it, this thing's been a part of my life longer than my wife.
Wow.
All right, but anyways, Jake Smitty, what's up, Jake? Man, what's on your mind?
Hey man, just trying to. I don't know if you guys. Do you think that what's the name? Aaron Banks will play this season, or no? Not at all.
He's starting to be active now, so he has dressed up. When he's gonna feel, I don't know, but I feel like this is a tough thing, man. You drafted him because it's supposed to be plug and play over Brunskill, who Brunskill is definitely looking like a guy who's not a starter at guard. I actually think Brunskill's a better tackle, but maybe if you see him at tackle over a long period of time, you might say, oh, he's not a good tackle either. But I think Brunskill at guard, like, okay, good replacement guy. But Aaron Banks, somebody you drafted in the second round, by this time, he's supposed to have been able to replace him. So the fact that he's not, I'm more worried about Banks not replacing Brunskill than I am Trey Lance not playing over Jimmy Garoppolo right now.
Yeah, and again, I'm gonna kind of just revert back to look, again, I don't agree with it, but I think that the whole idea was Banks is gonna be part of this when Trey takes over. But at the same time, again, a second round pick, they need to play right away. Like, and that's usually what it was. And a lot of people, even with that thought process, I think, which is kind of evolved at this point, a lot of people right off the bat said Aaron Banks is gonna start, right? Daniel Brunskill came from the AAF, and he's been fine. It's a great story as well, too. But again, it's almost like a backup quarterback, right? If a backup quarterback is left out there long enough, the cracks are gonna start to show when you get more and more reps. And I think that's kind of what's happening right now with Banks. And I don't agree with the thought process because you're literally redshirting. It looks like your first 3 picks, but I guess that's the thought process going forward. So I can understand the frustration, absolutely.
We did have somebody in the chat say we traded up for Banks. That adds insult to injury. We actually traded back.
And we traded up for Sermon. That's the one you
traded
should
up
be
for
upset
Sermon,
about.
traded back for Banks.
That's the one you should be more upset about, is the trade up for a running back, and then the 6th round running back is the one who actually balls out. That's the part that kind of doesn't jive with me, at least a little bit.
And the 5th or 6th round tackle is playing over the 2nd round guard.
And Jalen Moore played very well.
Different positions, but I mean, just in the sense of when his number got called, he was the one that goes in. Where they're saying with Banks, I think if Brunskill goes down, I think Tom Compton is going to be the one filling.
Oh yeah, and that's what I was afraid of when Trent didn't play, was just that they were going to heat up Compton and just say get out there, But Jalen Moore played very well too, so that's something that you should hang your hat on a little bit more too.
Yeah, it's just that I kind of got kind of upset with the Banks pick because I wanted a Asante Samuel, and we would go back, and then the Chargers pick up a Asante, so it was like a burn.
And that's not a hindsight thing. I do think a lot of the fan base, for whatever reason, it was like Asante Samuel. Like everybody wanted Asante Samuel. So a lot of times I'm like, man, it's easier said than done. In the moment, a lot of people like a certain pick, but I will say a lot of people were screaming for the Asante Samuel pick. So, I'll give everybody a pass on that one. But man, Jake, I appreciate you coming on, my guy.
Thank you. Right.
All right, here we go. We got, what's up, Roscoe's?
What's up, Croc?
Oh man, chilling with my guy Jason Aponte. He done been on here with the whole show. We're finna shut it down in a few minutes. But if you haven't already, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. All right. If you haven't liked it already, just click the chat down, hit that like button right now. We got over 300 people in here, so I should have over
What's up, Jason?
300 likes.
Is that Chris? What's up, Chris?
Yeah, man. Man, I'm telling, it's about to start work.
It's early on your side.
Oh yeah, I'm always up early. It's not even. Yeah, I'm always up early. But this thing being a little too friendly. I'm trying to set it off, man. What's up? So I got a question. If Colin Kaepernick was a quarterback on this team right now, what do you think the record would be? And I don't know if y'all seen my Twitter yesterday, but it's still going fire right now. But I had some, a Colin Kaepernick take. I said that Kyle Shanahan said he wanted to change the whole offense. He didn't want to change the whole offense. That's why he didn't bring Colin Kaepernick to the team. Then I said every quarterback he's had, not including Trey Lance, every quarterback he's had on that roster, Colin Kaepernick has been better than. And that set off a firestorm, especially with a lot of his haters. But I just want to know, what do you think the Niners record would be if Colin Kaepernick was a quarterback right now?
What version?
So I had to explain to people that 2016 Colin Kaepernick was actually a very good quarterback. So 2016, 2013 Cap, or 2012 Cap, not 2014, not 2015, because we would be struggling right now.
If it's 2012 Cap, that's something different because that Cap was different at that point. Like, and also too, it's just a lot of people didn't know how to deal with him at that point, right? So, like, you have to give that sort of context too. Like, you gather up the film and stuff like that, and can you progress and stuff like that. But 2012 Cap, that's different. And here's the narrative that I'm ready to squash right here. If I'm gonna get a little spicy, do not tell me that run that Cap had in 2012 is anywhere comparable to what Jimmy Garoppolo did in 2019 in that playoff run. Absolutely not the same thing. We're talking about a guy who looked Aaron Rodgers right in the face after he threw a pick six and dominated that game. And then you're talking about a guy who went 17-0 down against Atlanta. That's different. Jimmy Garoppolo don't got that in the bag. So we're talking about 2012 Cap and that 20. I saw people comparing. That's not the same thing at all. And we need to stop that right now because Cap was different at that point. Now, it depends on the version, right? 2016 Cap, you look at the numbers, 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, right? In an offense barren with amazing playmakers like Sean Drone, Jeremy Curley, like all of these guys, man, that are just like guys off the street basically at this point, right? So it just depends on which version you would get, right? What version would you get? Like, even if it's let's say the last version that we saw, the 2016 version, Cap still had that in the bag where he could make something happen with his legs in the same way that you kind of saw Trey Lance do that in that Arizona game. So I would say that they would probably have more wins at this point with that version of Cap in 2016.
I think even with the 2016 version, I think people look at that season and it's like the team was just so bad, and they look at the overall record and it's like, no, there's no way that Colin Kaepernick was any type of good in that season. That was a good version of Colin Kaepernick, and I thought that was the first time where he started to progress better as a passer in that season. But when you go out there and you have to throw to a guy named Chris Harper, and Jeremy Curley is by far your best receiver on the roster, it was just a trash situation. We talk about bad situations for all these other guys, you know what I'm saying, in certain situations. Nothing was like 2016. That was as bad as it got for the 49ers. All right. And Kaepernick, unfortunately, was the quarterback of that team that was just terrible. Now, again, I see somebody say Kaepernick apologist. I'm not. I was one that was like, yeah, let's move on from Colin Kaepernick. You know what I'm saying? But if we're being real, like, and that was just me, like, man, I want like better at the quarterback position. I want somebody like let's come in here, let's get somebody that can play from the pocket extremely well and do all these things or whatever. But in the process, we can still acknowledge that I do feel like Colin Kaepernick, and I mean, I'm only answering this because Chris brought up the question, but even 2016 version of Colin Kaepernick, from an ability of what he was able to do, if you put him in a situation where he has the weapons that the 49ers have now and the run game and the offensive coordinator, the 49ers would be better with Kaepernick than they would have with. Now, again, that's him. That's 2016 version of him. I'm not saying Kaepernick come in right now and do that, but that version of him with this roster, this team, and this coaching is better than what we've seen from Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, maybe the bar isn't set that high because my expectations of Garoppolo isn't all that high right now, right? I think he's, whatever. But I think that even Kaepernick would have been a better version of what we've seen from him so far. I think people that are saying like Kaepernick is bad, they're just looking at the record. Oh, the record was just so terrible. But Cap wasn't bad that year. Only thing bad about Kaepernick in that year was his swag was hella nasty. I hated his face mask. Like the face mask, the helmet, that was trash. That was trash. You guys want to know something that was trash? That was trash. But
wow.
Kaepernick, just in the sense of like, his ability and things like that, like it wasn't bad. The team was trash. Put any quarterback in that situation where your leading runner is like Sean Drawn and whoever number 32 was with the dreads and was
Dewan Harris.
And Vance McDonald, that's like your best weapon. Show me a quarterback that could walk into that situation with Chip Kelly calling the same little crossing plays all game, and that would have been successful. And if you could show me a quarterback that would have been successful in that situation, and would not be bad, then I'd say, okay, Kaepernick was bad. But 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, only played like half the season. I thought he did well considering the circumstances.
Let's make sure we let them know exactly the circumstances of that team. That 2016 had the worst defense in 49ers history.
In the 49ers
worst
history.
Defense. They gave up 170 yards rushing a game. Their offensive line gave up 50 plus sacks. Their receivers dropped 11% passes of Colin Kaepernick's, and they were ranked the worst receiving corps by PFF. Let me know what quarterback is going to come in there and change all of that around. Like, I don't get this whole Kaepernick apologist thing. Like, you know what? Matter of fact, yes, I am a Kaepernick apologist because it's time to kill these anti-cap narratives because certain people are blinded by something. I don't know what it is. I don't know why you dislike them. But, and the crazy part is, me and you talked about this, Croc. I said it on many occasions. 2014 Cap regressed. 2015 Cap was below average. He was not good. I went to the I think in 2014, I went to the Thanksgiving game when we lost to the Seahawks, and Richard Sherman ate the chicken on the middle of the field. I was there, and I was angry. I was tweeting all type of hate towards Kaepernick. I was like, "Oh, you suck," and this and that. I was finally fed up. But when I watched that 2016 version of Kaepernick with all the distractions that was coming out, where people were calling him all types of names, pretty sure he was receiving all type of death threats. The man played with poise. He played very good. I remember he had a game against Miami, 296 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 112 yards rushing. And they say they figured Kaepernick out. You're not getting that from most quarterbacks. Maybe you'll get that from a Kyler Murray today. Maybe you'll get that a Lamar Jackson. He's done that before. But it is rare to get that from quarterbacks. But he took over games. He threw for over 400 yards against the Saints. He also brought us back against the Arizona Cardinals, tied it up, and of course, guess who gave it away? The defense. You seen the Rams game, and then the final game against the game against the Seahawks. He put us in position to come back, but with like 5 minutes left, Seattle never gave us the ball back because, we couldn't stop the run. And a lot of games, we were in it in the first half. But like you even said, Chip Kelly really wasn't adjusting, really wasn't, switching things up. And again, when you have a defense the way you do, and a team runs the ball on you like they do, it's hard to get the ball back. And it's hard to get the ball at any point. And it's hard to keep up. And I always say this about Cap. He's not the type of quarterback that's going to elevate a terrible team. He's the type of quarterback that's going to help a team that's ready to win now, like this team we have right now. Because the team we have this year is only a quarterback away from being competitive, at least. Or not even competitive, but being possibly 4-2. A good quarterback away from being possibly 4-2. And Jimmy Garoppolo is not that good quarterback.
Right. And 49ers are figuring that out. I think Kyle Shanahan is figuring that out. And I think, as of right now, it looks like the 49ers are, they got to change in the guard at the quarterback position. Roscoe's, I appreciate you coming on the show. I'm pretty sure I'll talk to you next week.
Shout out to Chris, man. Talk to you, bro.
All right, here we go. Got my guy Jason. Jason, man, shoes, man. You hung with me the whole show, man. You helped me man this thing. I appreciate that. And that just came from me saying, hey, man, I see you in the chat. You got to come on. I was thinking like 10 minutes or so. You just come on and chop it up for a little bit. But, man, you hung around for the entire show. I appreciate that. And I appreciate everybody that came into the show. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm here. I saw somebody in there in the chat say, damn, y'all on early as hell. And it's like, yeah, every day, 5 days a week, I'm in here Monday through Friday. 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. And it's crazy because, we had over 300 people in here for most of the show. So clearly a lot of people are on here early with us, man. And salute to everybody that's in here. If you haven't already, click one of the links in my description. We got Underdog Fantasy, promo code Crocky, Locked On NFL Draft, Locked On 49ers, and Sprint Route. Right podcast. Real quick before we check out, Ponte, tell them where they can find all your stuff.
Yeah, Croc, you know what it is, man. Anytime you need me, I got you, bro. I'm up early too. I got to take my daughter to school. I was gonna be up, either watching film or trying to look through some numbers and everything to give some content out. So I got you, man. So at Jason Aponte 2103 on Twitter, and Jason Aponte on YouTube. That's where we do our live streams for Sprint Right Option. My shows what we're doing with Brad Graham, during the week is up there as well too. And you'll catch me on other people's channels and things like that. So it's love, Croc. I got you anytime you ask me to come on.
Well, they said someone asked, can we make a Thursday a normal thing for Croc and Jason?
I'm with it.
So that's what it's going to be. And what we'll do, Jason, is we'll add the fantasy element to it.
Oh, yeah.
So next time we'll come on. We'll talk about 49ers stuff. We'll also add the fantasy element. I know a lot of you guys are setting your fantasy rosters today. I know I am as well. So next Thursday, we'll get into that as well. But until next time, again, appreciate everybody that's on here. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. All that good stuff. Listen to everything, watch everything that we got going on. All right, but till next time, see y'all. Peace.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Aaron Rodgers over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Cross Talk TV podcast. Peace.